If it's a day called today, we're talking guitars and life. Well, I just made a video where we compared the necks, and it was great. We laughed, we cried, we had a really good time, and then I realized my microphone was not on. So, this is about 65 on the headstock, about right in the middle, about 65 millimeters right across the middle. Lengthwise, I'm going to measure to the, I know in inches I did this. They are both 6.5 inches. My millimeter ruler doesn't go that far, so I won't attempt to guess. The width at the top of the neck is 40, I'm going to call that 42 millimeter. And I'm going to call this 42 millimeter. All right. Down at the bottom of the neck, I'm going to call that 56.5, 57, somewhere in there. It's not an exact measurement. It's Ted Talks Guitars and Life. You didn't expect exact measurements. And this one is the same. The thickness of the neck, guys, I don't have one of those fancy apparatus where I can put it on the guitar and it'll show you the exact C-shape measurements and all that. I don't know how to do that with antiquated tools like rulers and hands and whatnot. I can tell you that this neck is a thinner profile. This feels more like, I think I said in the unboxing and first impressions of the Leo Jaymz Kit Guitar, that this neck feels more like a modern C, maybe a 60s style LP neck. This one, by contrast, feels more like, that's kind of awkward. This one, by contrast, is thicker. It feels more like a natural C, more like a 50s style LP neck. I like my LPs to be chunky. I like that a lot. Now my suspicion is, and I will address this, when I take the strings off this guitar, I will take one of these tuning machines out. But these tuning machine holes at first glance appear to be more of a vintage 8.5 mil ferrule here. These on the Leo, they're the modern 10 mil holes. So just keep that in mind, that if you get the Leo kit and you want to upgrade tuners, look, this is not a prescriptive comment, but you will want to upgrade the tuners. They're not very good. However, if you do that, hey man, you know what? If they work for you, rock those janky tuners, man. I ain't mad at you, Jack. But if you're going to replace the tuners, you're going to upgrade them on your Leo kit, you're going to need to find tuners. They'll be readily available. 10 mil ferrule holes. Okay, 10 mil holes for your tuning machine heads is what I mean. On the Gibson, if you wanted to replace these tuners, and these tuners are holding up, I don't like the look of them. They are straight up plastic, but they're working so far. If, however, you bought a Gibson and you wanted to upgrade tuners, you're more than likely looking at 8.5 ferrule holes here. So 8.5, 10 mil. Now I will verify that, and if I'm incorrect, I will correct myself in future vids. But thought you'd want to know that. They both have a 4 mil truss rod. I like the accommodation, the size of this truss rod hole, quite a bit more than this very narrow thing. And for those of you who've been playing the home game, you know that I've already dented this neck right here, this headstock right here, because I used a long tool and it was not quite, yeah, just the angle of that. Anyway, I dented that headstock myself. I own that. I own all my mistakes, and I share them freely for your learning and enjoyment. I tell you what, let's do, guys. Let's just rip this tape off. He's crossing projects. I am crossing projects. Well, both of these guitars were purchased for exactly one purpose. And that one purpose is to compare and contrast an LP kit for under $200 with a prefab under $200. So again, the Leo kit, $179 out at the Zon. You can find that, a link to that, in any of the descriptions of other vids. Okay, so we took the tape off the neck. I thought it would be helpful. The frets look to be the same size to me. They're pretty big. They may be jumbo. The nut on the Leo kit is kind of this off color, kind of orange tinted. I don't know exactly what look they were going for, but you could tell it doesn't exactly match the binding. The nut on this is white. Both of these are clearly not bone. They are straight up plastic. I don't know that I have the courage to replace that with a bone nut or not. If you hang on the channel, you know why. If you don't hang on the channel, it's your first time, welcome. Come back anytime and hang out with us. But yeah, so this Leo kit neck, when I do this, those frets, they're not super sharp or anything, but they are not comfortable. And I know that I've got high frets, so I'm going to have to level this, crown, polish, condition the fretboard, fingerboard, all that kind of stuff. These frets, by contrast, you can feel them, but it is not as aggressive as these. However, I will take a file to these edges for my own player preference. I have a very specific feel that I want. You know what? You do you. You rock however you rock and roll, man. So, hey, you do you in all things, my brothers and sisters, boys and girls, friends and family. But yeah, on both guitar necks, for me personally, I would file down the fret edges just a little bit. I don't yet know, again, if the Gibson has high frets. I did not hear any buzzing, even after I lowered my action considerably from what it was. The lowest action I've had on any LP that I've ever had, actually, and holding up very well. Both guitars, I will clean and condition the fingerboard. I will have to scrape this one because it has some ugliness here on the first fret. I may or may not scrape this one. Just depends on what I see under closer assessment. So I will level, and I may not need to level this one. Then I will crown this one after leveling. I will polish both of those. I will get all those up to my player feel. The necks are very similar. However, the neck on the Gibson, in my view, is just a better neck than this neck. By way of feel, for me, again, the thickness of it. But again, it is not as aggressively noticeable. So, 179, 200. I don't know what you think. Would love to know. Put it in the comments. Okay guys, listen man. I know that some of you are never going to want to buy a Gibson because of perhaps you have an ethical problem with the counterfeit nature of the N.A.G, not a Gibson having the Gibson headstock and all those things. But man, I got to tell you, I was doing the under the hood vids on this guitar and I was talking about it being intonated and the frets and all, how I loved it, and I decided that I had to take a break from that and just play, man. That's bridge, this middle. Man, I'm telling you, dude. I'll go up into the neck. Do a little dirt. So, I mentioned that I had lowered the strings. These are the same strings. I haven't done any setup other than I did tweak the truss rod just a little bit, and I did lower the strings, but these are the same kind of stock strings that came on it. The frets are still scratchy, all the things. I did notice a couple things. I said in the under the hood that I didn't have any buzzing. I did detect this. Now let me turn this off. So I do have a dead note here. And I noticed here, not quite ringing out the way I want it to, which is an indication of something being off. So I've got a little bit of work to do yet on some of this. However, that being said, man, I just think it's a great guitar. Well, let me say this. It's a good guitar. It will be a great guitar when I get done with it. I mean, for 200 bucks, man, what a great way to start. Now, I may, if I decide to keep this guitar, I may in fact deal with the headstock. I may take all that off and just paint it black. Let it be what it'll be, Jack. It won't be perfect. If you hang out with me, you already know that. I don't know, man. I'm growing in my skill set and all that, so maybe it'll be better than I think. But I did want to come out and just say, man, since I did lower the strings, I do have some fret buzzing. So more than likely, I'll check all the frets in just a few moments or later in the day, whenever that happens. And if I have to level the frets, I will. I'll let you know about that. But man, I'm at 1.75 at the 12. That is affectionately also known as 0.07 or 5/64 at the 12th fret. And I usually don't have action that low because I'm a spanker. So it may be that I just need to come off the low E a little bit to adjust that, but it could be that I have a high fret. So I'll be checking that out. But I just wanted to come on and say again, man, in the middle of Under the Hood vids, I don't know, man. For 200 bucks, shipped to my door, $217, shipped to my door, tax, title, and license, man. I don't know, dude. I don't know if you can find another LP copy that'll be this good. Now we get the Leo together, we will jam them out, we'll do them head to head, and we'll see what's up, Jack. Anyway, just want to interject that, and now back to boring Under the Hood. I appreciate you hanging out if you're still watching. Well, hey guys, just doing some under the hood kind of stuff here. And I do not currently own a Gibson USA or an Epiphone LP. But I found something particularly interesting on these two guitars. On the Jaymz Guitar, one of these days I'll figure out what that company's called. You'll see this separation, what I call an imperfection, right here. See that gap? Now it took a little bit of stain, but it won't take all the stain. So you see that line right there? And then it goes up into the binding. I noticed on this guitar, you have the same exact deal. You see that? See if I can zoom in. That's as far as I can zoom. Let's see if I can get. Is that not interesting? It is the exact. You got that gap there. You've got that same gap right here. For those of you who have a Gibson LP or an Epiphone, put it in the comments, man. Do you see this kind of gap between what I imagine is the veneer top and the mahogany or whatever wood your guitar is made out of, where you have the veneer and then you have the wood down here? I found it very interesting. Not that it was there, but that I could see it. And that got me thinking a lot about where these guitars are made, the factories that they're made in. They're both made in China. So maybe that's just the way an LP looks. Maybe it's a common feature of these particular guitars. I don't know. So anyway, not a quality control issue, not anything I can't live with. Even the ugly one. Even this. That's ugly because I could probably, if I'd chosen to paint, I could have painted over that, primered, painted over it, but I chose to dye. So I cannot get that to take stain to look any darker than that. And at the end of the day, I decided that would just be more character, man. But yep, anyway, I thought that was worth noting. Okay, so we're going to continue our under the hood thoughts. As we're doing that, I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to look at the bodies of these guitars. So on your left, you have the Jaymz Kit Guitar body. On the right, you have the Gibson N.A.G guitar, not a Gibson. Both guitar bodies made in China. I found it interesting. If you look at them, you've got almost 9.5 across the top. On the Jaymz, it's about 9.5 9.25. The Gibson is about 9.5. The body, right under the pole pieces, is almost 13 inches. And on the Gibson, it is 13 inches as the crow flies. Crows don't fly that way. I understand. It's just a metaphor, man. So the Gibson is a little bit wider. Again, we're talking about 1/4 inches. We're not talking about, massively. If we look at height, we've got a little bit more than 17 on the Gibson. And got 16.5. And I'm measuring from the exact same points. Okay, not exactly the center, but just same places on the guitar. So you've got, I think I said that was 16 3/4 on the Gibson. 17 and just a little bit more than 17. The body thickness, the Gibson, 2 inches. Hey, what's the standard for a Gibson USA or an Epiphone LP? Those of you who have them, is 2 inches about right? If memory serves, my teles are about 2 inches thick. The Leo is under 2 inches. It's about 1.75 inches. So as my scientific measurement, the Leo Jaymz Kit Guitar body is a little bit smaller dimensionally than the Gibson. You could probably see that by looking at the two guitars side by side. Relatively close. I don't know that you could pick one out in the lineup or not. But the other thing that's interesting, I've been talking a lot about the Leo Jaymz guitar body and how this side of the body has kind of a hump right here. I called it an imperfection. Some of you said, no man, that's the way they all are. This one does not do that. It is flat. It's the same height. This side is not higher. And I think Two Bike Mike said, well, sometimes they're not perfect, and that's an area where on some LP style bodies there's a little bit of higher bump right there. So I don't know, guys. Man, I hope this kind of thing is helpful. Let me know in the comments. Is this kind of information helpful? Is this what you're looking for? Is it helping you make any decisions at all in terms of which one you might prefer? An LP kit or a prefabbed LP? Again, this is a Gibson. There are other prefab, LPs that you can find out there. I've mentioned that this one has tiger stripe, but in some of the vids it's really not coming out. But you can kind of see that here. It's much more, this veneer is much more dynamic, the striping. And it probably has to do with the stain colors, perhaps, I don't know. This one you can see the tiger stripe, but it is much more faint. Okay, that's the bodies. Hey guys, just one more difference in the bodies. You'll notice that, well, you probably can't tell, but on the Leo Jaymz guitar, the Tune-o-matic section of the bridge is farther away than on the Gibson. Also, the Gibson looks like a tune-o-matic bridge where there are no flathead screws here. You make all the adjustments by turning the wheel at the bottom, as it should be. Whoops, that's why I have these off. Because of that, my friends. This one has the flathead screws built into the posts, so that you do it by screwdriver. Anyway, thought you'd want to know about that. Well, as always, wherever you are in your guitar journey, I pray it's a long, smooth, safe, joy-filled ride for you, Jack. Rock on with your bad selves, everybody. We'll catch you down the road.